There are two types of love. Metaphorically, one is like water, and one is like fire. Water is like calm, still waters versus a fiery, you know, passion. So, for example, calm, still waters of love is like an inherent love that we have, like a child for a parent, a child for a sibling, right? Siblings, the love between them is metaphorically like water, calm, still waters. It's calming. It's, there's a rush of the heart, if you will, in the connection. Um, it's natural. Like water is natural to life. It's natural. It's there. It's very much there. Meaning it's inherent, right? There's a natural inherent love between siblings, between a child to a parent. Not something you have to develop, nothing, something you have to create to recognize it, right? But nothing that you kind of create. But then there's a love that's metaphorically like fire. Fire, metaphorically, passion. So between siblings, there shouldn't be passion. It should be calm, still waters, always a sense of security. You know, water gives us, in a sense of security. I don't mean gushing river water. That might be very insecure, right? Drowning water, obviously, is, a sense of insecurity. They have an app, that when you want to go to sleep at night, so they have like the spring, like water, flow of water, because it's what's the word? It's calming, has a calming effect. So the love between um, parent-child is calming. It brings, I was holding my grandchild and wasn't so calm, but when his mother held him, he calmed down. Because it's much more inherent and natural. Then there is between husband and wife, which is male and female. Male and female, the connection between them is not inherent. As a matter of fact, as I once said it this many times, marriage is not a good thing. It's a godly thing. And because of a godly thing, right? Because really, men and women are completely different. As women will always say, he doesn't get me. The truth is, she doesn't get him either. We try. There's a big gap that you have to overcome. And because of the big gap, that's what creates a passion. Distance creates a passion. Familiarity breeds contempt. Distance creates a passion. That's the idea of a mikvah. So it's a fiery love, creating a passion. Why? Because of distance. What brings you close? An awareness of the other. And the deeper the awareness of the other is, the more it creates a passion. Those are the two big kinds of love as they express themselves in the human um, context. Welcome to Tanya today. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zurich and Kadesh in Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. We conclude today chapter 44, we're speaking about two types of inherent love, which are calming. An inherent love that we have with God. And they're very comforting, like still waters that are comforting. And they are that my soul, God is my soul, He's my very life. And therefore, I want to connect and cleave to God and not be disconnected from God because He is my very life. Or even more so, God is my Father in heaven. I don't, let's not say in heaven. He's just my Father, period. He doesn't have to be in heaven. He's Father here. He's my Father. And I want to connect in a manner that I'm ready to do more for my Father than I would do for life itself, for my life itself. Where does that come from? From my soul. In other words, it's inherent, a part of me. Just like between a parent and child, parent and a father, inherent love. Also, that God is my very life is also inherent because life is inherent life that we have. In other words, it's there. I don't need to create that. I need to be aware of it, but it's something that is a natural part of who and what I am. Right? The life and Father. Now, when I am aware of this instinctually and do a mitzvah as a result of that, and therefore it brings about a feeling of love and awe to connect to God, I give two wings of love and awe in the mitzvah that I do, that it makes it ascend on high, like a bird has two wings and flies high. So my mitzvah flies high to the world of Yetzirah, which is a world of formation, the world of divine emotion, instinctual emotion, if you will, because I was motivated by the instinct of my soul that, I reveal in doing the mitzvah, in sensing that God is my life, He is my Father, and that is the motivation or the intent in doing the mitzvah. If I have a deeper understanding of God and I kind of more contemplate it, then it creates that more powerful fixation of the mind on the fact that God is my life, that He is my Father, and the more fixation that I more bring it into my heart from the mind, then the mitzvah that I engage in, whether it's a study of Tanya like we're doing now, or giving charity or prayer or whatever it might be, it gives wings to the mitzvah. I should back up for a moment. Before the wings, there's of course the connection that I have in the moment with God, but the wings that it gives it makes it ascend on high for eternity because it connects to the divine attributes of God in the first instance in the world of Yitzir, the world of formation, the world of divine emotion. And if you are more fixated on this and it develops more of a connection, a deeper one that motivates you, then it will have wings that will ascend on high to the world of Bria, the world of divine comprehension, because more the comprehension that brought you to it. Okay. Something we spoke about at great length previously. So the point over here is that the inherent love that we have for God that's in our soul, because in our soul, you know, um, in our soul, we have a sense of connection to God. We have that. The sense that God is my life and God is my father, those two ideas. It's inherent to our makeup, right? So that's loving God as the calm waters. It's very calming to know that God is your life, He's your father. As a result, you're never alone. You're never alone. You're always connected. I just did a funeral for someone. He said to me, I don't feel alone. I always feel connected with my father. I always feel connected to my father. Wow, that's beautiful. So guess what, folks? We're always connected to our Father in heaven, to God Almighty. We're never alone. Furthermore, not furthermore, but together with that He's my very life. So that's comforting. It's inherent. And it's comforting also because when I say this, I know in me, and I'm sure in everyone that's listening, it kind of rings a truth that's inherent to us. Meaning, it's not like a scientific truth that you through scholarly understanding you came to an appreciation of this truth. It just brings the truth in us, right? It's pretty amazing. That's because it's inherent, what we just explained. But now comes the Alter Rebbe says something, and he says, you know what? In conclusion of the chapter 44, that's not enough. It's not enough to bring out the inherent truth that God is our life, God is our Father, and to be aware of that, even deeply aware of that, and to bring a love and awe, meaning a desire to connect through a mitzvah, and a desire to not be disconnected through something that is sinful, right? Something that's wrong in the eyes of God. But that's not sufficient. The Alter Rebbe says we have to have the other kind of love too, the one that we have to create with our mind, and we own it as a result. The other one, we don't, in a sense, we don't own it. It's given to us. Whenever you're given a gift, you know, sort of, you didn't work for it. You didn't work for it. When you work for it, you feel, it's mine. I'm sure we've all done this in our lives. We worked for something, we appreciate it a lot more when it's given as a gift. This first one is a gift. It's a gift. It's a gift, inheritance. God's my life. That's what the soul senses it. It's so emphatic and real for it. That God is my father. That's so emphatic and real in the soul. Just that when I'm attuned to it, that, yeah, that's very calming and beautiful. But now there's another truth. God's infinite. He's beyond. And the more I understand about him, the more I feel, and actually feel a distance. Not a distance in a bad way, a distance in a very good way. God's infinite. I'm finite. Right? Um, so God is the greatness of God. God's greatness as creator. He's creator, that he transcends creation, and yet is his eminence in creation is the 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 truth of everything in creation, the reality of everything in creation. And if you understand that, then you understand at the same time how he's transcendent of creation. And that's only him as creator. But then there's my personal relationship I have with him. That's beyond even creation. Then I understand him and his wisdom in Torah. And you understand all of that. Wow. What that creates is a fiery passion. As opposed to the other one created calming waters. That God is my life. He's my father. Very soothing, never alone. Here is like it creates a different kind of response, that deep awareness, a passion to try to bridge that gap. How do you bridge a gap with the infinite, with finite? Of course, through God's mitzvah. That's how we can attach to Him. That's how we get connected to the infinite. And the more you're aware of that, the more the passion it creates. Although it says there's something more superior about doing this than the other kind of love that is calming waters of that God is my very life and my Father. And that is metaphorically the difference between gold and silver. Silver, metaphorically, is the inherent love. Gold is this passionate love. Now, gold is greater not just because ounce for ounce it gets more money, but it's got a glare to it. It's got a glimmer to it. It's that silver doesn't have in the same manner. And and what is it about this? Is because this is knowing God. And knowing God, that knowledge is yours. You own it. Right? It becomes yours. And it creates this great passion, fiery, like a great fire inside of you to connect. And Alter Rebbe says that ultimately this is the purpose of man, as it says in the Zohar, in order that we should know God. The inherent love, we're not really knowing Him, we're just sensing in our soul the desire to connect and not be disconnected. Which is amazing. That's not enough. We need to know God. Chabad, Chachma bin Das, that's who we are, right? The divine intention is that we need to know God. And even though we are limited created beings, the more we study, the more we learn, it becomes a part of our reality. Hmm. In other words, we don't suffice ourselves with the inherent love that's been given to us in our soul. That's not sufficient, but we dig, we learn, we learn and learn and learn in order to know and know and know. And then contemplate upon that and exert ourselves in that contemplation. That's amazing. Wow. Any questions, any comments? Powerful. I don't see. All right. Folks, tonight there will be Torah studies at 6:30 p.m. and 8 o'clock will be TRC. Jeff has a question. Okay. Oh, sorry, I missed it. Yes. How can we cultivate the fire of love for God before our daily prayer? Good questions. So, if you learn Hasidus, we have a class every morning, 7:05, before our prayers at 7:30. So, Monday through Friday, Sundays it's 8:30, an hour later. By learning and then thinking about the learning, right? Meditating upon it. That's what it's not an easy thing. I might add. At least for me, it's not. I learn it, and the more I learn, but it's That doesn't mean, it's just about learning. It's about learning is information. Das is what's important. Das means an awareness of the information and its magnitude and its awesomeness, right? That it feeds you emotionally. And that's an amazing thing. And we're small people, so we can do it on small level at least. So yeah, learning and thinking about what you learned in a way that it's not a piece of information, but it becomes like reality. Like imagine, I just gave a bang on the table here. I heard the sound. I felt it on my fist, right? My hand. I felt it, right? I saw it. It's real. Imagine that you would contemplate and think about God and be more real than that. So Chassidim do that. And on some level, we're capable of that. On some level. That is like owning, uh, you know, God's God in my life, God in the world, beyond my life, in a real way. On some way, we can get there. At least a, a glimmer of it, a ray of that. Darren, when the inherent love from relatives who does not reciprocate is allowed to keep distance. So, first of all, the inherent love that there is between relatives is inherent. Does that mean that you have to come close to them and hang out with them? No, doesn't mean that. But at the same time, recognize that there is an inherent love. Maybe there's issues, there's things, and maybe it's not a healthy thing. Maybe it's not a good thing. Maybe they're not interested, right? Because they're not responding. Yeah. So it could be, but yeah. I'm not saying not, but it's a recognizing that truth. It's okay to feel a little disconnect with idolatrous person. Yeah, of the idolatry for sure. Yes, no question. Yeah, it's hard to describe passion in words, right? Because it's almost if you put the words and put it into words, it's almost like it's not passion, right? Yeah. Yeah. Well, got to keep trying to get there. All right. Amazing. Folks, there's not going to be Rambam today. My, okay. Sorry. But uh, but there is 6:30 Torah studies, 8 p.m. TRC, Tanya Rabbi Community for those who would for those who would like more information about TRC, private message me. We'll let you in on something amazing. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine coming to you from Chabad Zurich and Kedoshim, Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share.